Hello guys. Hello guys. Hello everyone. Still trying to set up. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, wave your hands. If you can hear me, wave your hands. Say hi. Hi everyone. Wave your hands if you can hear me. If you can hear me, wave your hands. You're welcome, Net Genius 2. Samuel, you're welcome, Samuel. Official. Yeah, you're welcome. Amah-Mercy, you're welcome. So let's just be waiting for some other people to join us. Let me just be waiting for some other people to join us. Hi. Hope you've been having an awesome time since the lockdown has been minimized, especially this week in Lagos. If you're in Lagos, I'm talking to you. Hi. So today we're going to be talking on the program Voices of Poets, and our topic today is motivation and writing, and our guest for today is no other person than Amah-Mercy Samuel. Maybe we'll have to begin while other people join us. Just wait another minute and see. You're welcome, Samuel Favor H.A. Okay, so we go right into the program for today. So Poets Factory is, we are a global brand and a growing community for poets and writers. And we are on a mission to building a platform where young and creative writers can lend their voices and inspire their world through poetry, spoken words, and write-up. And that's why today we are looking at the topic, the motivation in writing. And we're going to be, our guest for today is going to be doing justice to it. Her name is Amah-Mercy Samuel. She is a graduate. She's a graduate of mass communication and a trained on-air personality specialist for AIT Radio and Radio Benue. Amah-Mercy Samuel is a writer for spoken words, and she's a lover of poetry and art, and she's also an artist. She is a linguistic French lecturer and a growing activist for young girls, for empowerment, for sexual abuse and awareness. So she creates awareness for sexual abuse and awareness. All right, so I will be going live with her soon. So let's invite our guest for today, Amah-Mercy Samuel. Waiting for her. You're welcome, Rebat E. Thank you for joining us today. Hello, Tolu. Tolu Lade joined. Thank you for joining us today. We're waiting for Amah-Mercy to join us now. We're waiting for her to join us. We're waiting for our guest, Amah-Mercy Samuel, to join us. So I'll go over to Poets Factory core values are collaboration, inspiration, and excellence. So if you want to collaborate with Poets Factory in any way you want to, please feel free to DM us at any of our social media handles, at Poets Factory on Instagram, at Poets Factory Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, please, please, please. We're trying to go live with Amah-Mercy Samuel. Amah, please, if you are there, just accept our go live. You're welcome, Joebox. You're welcome. I can see you, Joebox. Thank you for coming. Yeah, she's here. She's live with us now.
Hello, Moya.
How are you? How's your day been?
Well, God was faithful. We're here. We're pulling through. Despite the lockdown, we're here. We're staying strong. How do you do today?
Oh, we're still working from home. We're
That's
trying
good.
to.
You're beautiful, by the way, I must say.
You're welcome. 60 seconds poetry. Thank you for joining us. Joebox, thank you for joining us. Joebox is one of our sponsors for the World Poetry Day. Thank you for joining us. I can see you, the CEO of Joebox. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us today. And today on Voices of Poets, our guest is Amah-Mercy Samuel. She's a graduate of mass communication, a trained on-air personality, and a newscaster for AIT and Radio Benue. She is a poet, a spoken word lover, and artist. Among her several interests, Amah is a linguistic French lecturer, a teacher, and a literacy facilitator, and a growing activist for girls empowerment and sexual abuse awareness. And don't forget, Poets Factory is a growing global community for poets and writers who are set to unleash their world and reach their world through poetry. So Poets Factory is on a mission to building a world-class platforms where young writers and creative writers can hear their voices through spoken words, poems, and write-up. And that's why we've brought today a very special guest in our midst, Amah-Mercy Samuel. Let me tell you something. If you need to know a brief way how I met Amah. So I was looking for volunteers for poetry for Poets Factory World Poetry Day, and that's how someone sent a number to me, and we got talking, you know. And she's been an inspiration. She's been a help. Amah, are you there? If you can hear me.
I'm here.
All right. She's been an inspiration. Like, she's been everything for Poets Factory. Like, she's been everything. She's been the strength behind Poets Factory. And I really want to use this medium to appreciate her so much, to let her know that we love her. And we know that we'll do a lot of collaboration in the near future. So thank you for coming on our program. Yeah, thank you for coming on our program. Yeah. So what has your day been like? Your typical day? What's your day been like since the lockdown?
Okay, we know that the lockdown is not really funny, trust me, because we get to consider those persons who have to go out every day to work before they get something to eat. But what can we do? You know, our health, it's very, very critical right now, and we must stay safe. So basically, I have been working from home. You know what I do as a poet, you have to keep writing, come what may, no matter the situation. There's always something to talk about. There's always something to write about. So, and aside writing poetry, I get to create content for lots of organizations. I get to volunteer for most humanitarian, organizations, mostly NGOs, and then we're always having some meetings. So Basically, since the lockdown, it doesn't even feel like there's lockdown at my end here because I work day and night, my dear, and it can be really frustrating. But it's great because I get to enjoy what I do. So bring it on, my dear.
All right. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So have you written anything? Did you write anything yesterday night?
Okay, yes, I wrote something yesterday night. I think I think it was a love poem. Yeah. I wrote something last night, yes.
All right. So all right. So can you hear me?
I can hear you, I'm
Yeah, if
here,
you can hear me,
Moya.
say hi. So if you have any question for Hama, please drop it in the comment section. Um,
Okay.
Ashraf, thank you for joining. I can see you. I can see you, Ashraf. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. So right away, Hama, talking about the motivation in writing. Let's hear your story. I'm sure everybody would like to hear, how you started writing. You're a
Okay.
very deep content writer. So now you really need to, yeah. So we would like to hear how you started writing, your story. What was the story behind writing, and even especially writing poetry, writing poems? How did you start writing?
Okay. Poetry for me has been a discovery of self personally, but I got to realize I could write when I was in primary school. I primary school. It got interesting in the junior secondary school because I realized I could just be in class, see something and want to write about it. And so I realized there was this thing inside me I had to pay attention to, and that was how I realized, okay, there was this calling to write everything I see. Most times when I feel pain, growing up as a child, I used to be an introvert, though as a child not anymore.
I'm sure our network is breaking. I'm sure our network is breaking.
Okay, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I was saying as a child, I picked up interest in, unveiling things I felt wasn't too acceptable. Even as a child, there are things you get to see. It could be a parent maltreating his or her spouse. It could be a child
Mm.
being, abused by a teacher. It could be a hunger. We had this, shy kids in school. There are lots of things that caught my attention, and I started to write about them. And I just realized, writing was just a talent that was placed inside and needed to come out of me. So that was how it
So,
started, my dear.
at what age did you start writing? At what age?
Okay. I started to pen down at a very, very early age. I cannot recollect, but I think I paid attention to writing as early as age 12. I started writing at age 12, like officially. I started to write songs, poems, and the like. It's even story, narrative essays. They always caught my attention at age 12.
Hmm. Wow. So what platforms have you published your work? Has your work been published in any platform?
Okay, basically, when you talk about publishing, I have done more spoken words than just poetry, raw poetry.
Mm-hmm.
So when during my national youth service, in Benue State, I got lots of my poems on Radio Benue. It was read by other OAPs who were trained professionals, and so I think that was basically, and I also got most of my poems written in the Coppers magazine, everywhere in Benue State, which was more of an honor to me. So I basically would say I've been more of a freelancer than, getting out there in public. But during service, and I think when I was in the university too, yeah, we once had this dinner where I got to read out a poem, and it was so emotional. And but basically, I think the height of publicity for me was during my youth service. Yeah, everywhere I went to, in church, youth gatherings, I always had something to say on podium. So that was how I started to inform the public about what I did, as a talent.
Okay, so do you have maybe any spots for writing? Maybe when you want to write, you just go to that spot. Is that what you do? Do you have any spots for writing? Any position
Basically,
you have to take?
there is no unique position. I could be having a discussion with my mother like few days. I think that was 2 days ago. I was in the sitting room with my siblings, and something struck me, and I just started to start to write. I was scribbling. It was funny. So the words could come anytime. I could be sleeping. I wake up. Yeah, it happens a lot. I could be taking a nap and something strikes me. I get up to jot on my phone or write somewhere. So there is no unique position I take. The words come to me anytime, any day.
Fantastic. So how has poetry influenced your thinking? Like, what has writing done for you so far? Since you started writing at the age of 12, that's a very
Yeah,
young age. And
yeah.
who ask how old you are now? But what has writing influenced you? Has poetry influenced your life? Has it healed any of your pain in any way?
Okay, like I said before, I started to write when I saw some things I wasn't cool with around me, even from school. So you can imagine what it felt like for a young girl I think at 12, I was in GS3. Yes, I think so. I was in GS2, GS3, and a teacher could come into the classroom and perhaps it could be the way he scolds another student, and something inside of me feels that shouldn't be acceptable. Even as a child, I understood what it felt like, so I started to write. And I think when I started to write, I unconsciously began to realize right from wrong. I started to recognize abuse when I see it, and okay, these are the
Mm,
things that shouldn't be. So what it has done for me is that it has unveiled the ills of the society to me, and it has made me recognize abuse anywhere I see it, and I just want to
mm.
do something with it. And my only tool is writing. That's the only weapon I've got. So we keep writing about it.
That's good. So can you let the audience know? So who? Okay, when you write your audience, who are your audience? Talk about abuse. You advocate for girls or sexual abuse
Definitely.
and try to create awareness for sexual abuse. So are those your audience where you write? Who are your audience?
Basically, my audience, I write more of things because I'm a feminist, I must say, a very proud feminist. So I believe in, gender equality. And so when I tend to write, most times, some of my friends, the males especially, they feel I am always on the side of the girl child. But I'm like, it's not really like that. I'm not always on the side of a girl or, one particular gender I'm cool with. It's not like that at all. Basically, what I just do is I see that there are abused people out there who are so scared of talking, and so what I do is, because I grew to understand that the public are a bit attracted to the media, and so since we cannot sing, we cannot begin to sit down and tell stories every day. What do we do? Spoken word poetry is something very interesting, and so if and you know that in a country like Nigeria, you can't just walk up to the police station and say this thing happened. They wouldn't pay
True.
attention to you. But when you use the social media, you tend to connect to practically a very very high amount of people. And so what
Mm.
happens to that girl who's broken and can talk about being raped? What happens to that
Exactly.
wife with pregnancy
Mm.
and can come out to speak? And so that
Exactly.
what I do is we conceal all of those issues inside of poetry, that when our audience begin to listen, that's what
Mm.
there's this comment saying that you should learn to read between the lines. There's always something a writer or a poet is trying to tell you. It's not about just using rhymes or repetitions or other literary joints like that. It's about there's
Mm.
always something the writer is trying to say. So that's basically where my own, I feel it's kind of something, a responsibility I'm saddled with, to get to unveil or get to like to put out the pain or the hurt of the abused ones out to the public, so that something can be done for. Because somewhere around, in every corners of the world, we have people who are very interested in the cases of abuse. So what happens? All we have to do is, get them connected with the abused persons. So that's just what I do, getting the pain of abused people out to the public, for people to get to understand that abusing is really not cool, it's not acceptable, and an end must be found, must be brought to abuse.
Yeah, true. I appreciate that. That's very deep. That's very deep. Please, if you have your questions, please you can drop it on the comment section for Amah-Mercy Samuel, and we'll be answering. I can see you. Welcome, Willie. I can see you, Willie. Thank you for coming. Thank you for Wale. Thank you for coming. I can see you there at DBC Rice. Thank you for joining us. Official OZ. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Thank you. Please drop your comments. Good Screens Fame, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Vine the Poet, thank you for joining us. God bless you guys. I appreciate it so much. All right. So you see what Amah has just elaborated for us is about poets are voices for the voiceless, right? Is that what you're saying?
Very true, very correct.
Yes, poets are voices for the voiceless. So we try to, when we write as a poet, we really don't write what is happening to us, because most people feel when we write is what's happening to you that you write. So how do you convince people that, because that's one, I'm sure that's one notion, even those who are active in the industry, when they feel, some people tend to stigmatize them with the role that they played in a movie. And so also for a writer, when you write, maybe for example, you write about sexual abuse, how you were abused, maybe somebody was abused, and so they'll just think you wrote about yourself. So how do you convince people? Like, how do you convince people?
Okay, basically, when I started to write, I used to write about myself. I used to write about being depressed, having no friend, being scared of what the world has to offer. And then subsequently, I started to take interest in the abused girls because I realized being abused is even more gruesome compared to, you being perhaps timid, So I realized that I couldn't just continue to write about what I felt because there's always someone who's got no strength to voice it. So I think it started to get used to my poems. They got to understand that, okay, Amma is just being a voice of the voiceless, like you said. So
True.
I think the people I know, those who have listened or read my poem, one somehow, they get to understand that, okay, what I do is basically about the society and not just about me. And personally, I tend to write about that, on my social media pages. I tell people you don't judge a poet for, writing
True.
perhaps a story of an abused person. It doesn't mean the person has been abused. No, it's possible, maybe that's how the person's inspiration was born, but it doesn't mean the person would only continue to write about himself or herself. With time, we understand that we are somehow, strengthened above the other persons who look up to us as, perhaps an idol or something. And what can we do to our followers? We must ensure that they are being brought to life. So with time, people tend to understand that being a poet simply means you have a passion, for unveiling lots of things, that people barely see with the ordinary eye.
Okay, can you let us into your personal life? Can you tell us 3 things that are interesting about you? Like, if I, what's interesting about Amah?
Okay. I think number one thing I'm going to say again is that I'm a feminist. Very few persons know, even my family are just beginning to understand that I am a very proud feminist. And if you get to meet me in person and we engage in talks that has to do with gender, yeah, equality and the likes, you might feel that I'm a bit skeptical about the, male gender, but it's really not like that. So I think the first interesting thing about me is the fact that I'm a very proud feminist. And the second thing about me is people feel that I write more, like, though I write a lot, but I read more than I write. That's another interesting thing about me. I tend to read a lot, and I am I am scared of water. That's a flaw, I believe, and I think another thing I would love to tell the public is that I'm a sapiophile. I get attached to persons who think in the same vein. I get attracted to intellect. So basically, that's just me in three various sentences.
Wow. Okay. All right. So before we go into the questions section, let me just acknowledge some people who are here today. I can see so Shofolabi Kende. Thank you for joining. Thank you. I can see you official. You Thank you for coming. I can see you also. Thank you. Please drop your comments. See you, Perennial. Thank you for coming. I can see you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Emmy, thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. So if you have your questions for Amah-Mercy Samuel, please drop it at the comment section. All right. So another question for Amah today will be, why is content writing important to societal development? And when we talk about content writing too, how can we develop and grow the young community of writers and poets, especially in Nigeria?
Okay, that's a very big question, and I think it's a lovely one. Thank you for asking me that, Moyo. Content writing is very important because we have lots of persons, mostly entrepreneurs, with great business mindset and idea, and a problem they have is trying to connect their audience to what they have to offer. And so that's where the function of content writers come in place. We've got organizations, they have lots of things to offer to the public, but then they really don't know how to go about it. Not everyone is a born writer. That's what I want you to understand.
Not everyone is a born writer.
Exactly. So you being a writer, it means you've been placed a little bit over the edge, to be there for the public. We have lots of organizations who would definitely call you to help them pen down their ideas in a perfect way, because it's just like you asking a young child to explain what the future holds. The child has no idea of what the future holds, but it doesn't mean that the child doesn't have his or her own purpose. So you that you've been placed to get to understand a little bit of life, you can tell in a clearer way what the future holds. So that's just an example I would like to drop right now. So if the content writers have a way of seeing things, we know the perfect way of penning lots of ideas down. And I think that's why organizations can do without, most organizations can do without having a content writer, because when you have a very good content writer, what you're bringing into the society is more understood by your audience. And so, okay, the second question is how to, I think, encourage
how to
content
grow,
writing.
how to develop and
Okay, how?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Basically, when we look at the schooling sector, like about 5 years backward, 5 years ago down the line, literature wasn't really given audience to, so we had few amounts of people who could write down. So definitely the best way you can inculcate the habit of writing into young persons today is by introducing it to their grassroots level, which is cool. When you go to have, I get marveled when I get to the secondary school and they ask them to write an essay. It starts from essay writing. It starts with the little word you can pen down your ideas. That way the child is exposed to expository essay, by nature. So you just have to imbibe the culture, and subconsciously a child will grow up understanding that, okay, he has been trained, he has been trained with writing of little essays. So with that as a tool, the child begins to understand what it means to write. Though you must not forget that not everyone is a born writer. You can train a child to know how to write something to a particular level, but then when you see someone who's been born to be a writer, and the person is also brought up in that line, I think it becomes easier for the child to grow up, and it tends to shaping the child's the child's talent of writing in a better way. Because for me as a child, when I was in school, writing wasn't really something we paid attention to. So I had to persevere and keep pushing. I had to tell myself I wasn't going to let go of my dream. And it took a longer time for me to, I feel that if I was born maybe in 2020 today, and I started schooling now, writing for me in the next maybe 20 to 30 years would be a lot easier than it was for me growing up, because I have been born into, I am taught how to write basic things. And when I realize it's a natural thing for me, it gets easier. So why not? Let's encourage our young. We don't know who among our children will be writers tomorrow. So please, let's encourage them. Let's start to introduce them to essay writings, poetry, reading clubs. There are various channels through which a child can be trained to write.
Yeah, fantastic. So I wanted to clarify something for us, because of our viewers.
Okay.
So not everyone is a born writer.
No.
Not everyone is a born writer, but we can develop the writing skills in our children from a tender age.
Exactly, exactly.
And we can achieve.
When you tend to train a child on how to write, even if the plan wasn't settled, we have writers who do other things, we have professional doctors who write books too. But does that make the person a poet? It's something to think about. So poetry is more of a professional thing. It has to do with you, unveiling all that you have to discover yourself, and you being taught to write. When you're taught on how to write a basic essay from childbirth, when you're in primary school, growing up, when you're going to take that art into your professional field. So no matter what you study, be it law, medicine, what have you, you would also be able to find something that is related to your own field, your own career. That's why it's important that we all know how to write. And so poetry is a very, very different thing. That one, I feel that it's just a talent. It's a natural talent. However, if we tend to find a child who just takes interest in, listening to poems, it's possible that that child may be, built to become a poet.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So who are your favorite authors? Who were your favorite authors when you were 12, 13, 15, when you were... And now, who are your favorite authors?
Okay. I am a very proud African. You know me personally, you know that I enjoy the African nature. And so definitely my favorite writer, my writer will be Chimamanda. That woman writes like, I don't know, like she was initiated into writing. There's this special, she's like a little god to me. The way she plays with words, it's been like that from childbirth, and to date, it's really, really cool for me. I envy her a lot, and I read her books too. I really, really love her writing skill.
Okay, that's cool. So Amy, thank you for joining us. Amy, thank you for joining. Thank you. PJ, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Peju Glam, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Hi, 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 hi. All right. I would like to ask you a question. Can poetry become a full-time job in Nigeria?
Interesting.
Are we there yet?
We aren't there yet. We aren't there yet, but I think that we're already threading on that line, because poetry is beginning to gain audience in Nigeria. It wasn't like those few years ago, but when you go on Instagram now, Google up Nigerian poets, we have quite a number compared to before. So if we continue, I feel like in 10 years, if we continue, because right now we have banks, we have commercial banks, inviting poets to come and, do their advert for them by just, putting your word to paper, doing your magic, coming out with the perfect poem. And, we have banks like that. I don't want to start mentioning names. So definitely those poets are usually paid for stuffs like that. And it's not just about advertising. You can be called, perhaps you've built your career to a particular point. You can be called to address young persons, and you're paid for such, such programs like that. So definitely poetry is something you can take as professional course full time. That's only if you really, really have passion for it, like full-time passion, because poetry can really get, if you're not really serious with it, you might not always stay. If you're not always encouraging yourself, you could waver along the way. But if your passion for poetry is to the brim, my dear, you can take it full-time and get paid.
Okay, please, thank you. Let the love, please keep clicking on the love button. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Cripsy Treats, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. All right. You said something that struck me. Yes, okay. You said something. Yeah, struck me, and that's about okay. Let's go to this. Talking about developing a poet into a full-time poetry into a full-time job for a Nigerian. How can a poet in Nigeria convert his skill into a business?
Okay. I feel the first thing to do is to detach yourself from the society because a society like one I was born into, when you come up, as a child, they ask you, okay, you can show your friends around something, right? And they entirely down. So the first thing to do is to get yourself connected with persons who think into. That's why I said something that I am a sapiophile. I get very, very attracted to intellectual beings because that's where
Mm,
my drive comes from. And I understand that for me to stay a poet, it's a bit tasking. I must keep charging my intellectual mind, I must keep reading
mm.
things that helps my mind better, that helps to, push me and remind me of the place I want to be. So the only place you get done, we already spoke about introducing writing, poetry, and basic write-ups to the school. The next thing to do is you see that your child has interest in poetry. Introduce your that child to someone who perhaps a young poet, maybe someone in church who is a poet, someone somewhere, and I think parents are beginning to understand the place of introducing children to their dreams at a very early stage. So I feel that it will be easier at this century for young poets to thrive in what they want to do because parents, I'm actually impressed. Parents are beginning to pay attention to their children's career compared to the former time. So all you have to do, ensure that the child practices writing, introduce your child to like minds, people who like to think, introduce your child to very great writers if you know some around you, and if you don't, you can always Google up.
Okay, let me Vine Poet asked this question. He said, how can poets use their arts for income generation in Nigeria? So let me just give a brief tip for every poet and every writer. Okay, so Nigeria is a growing community for writers. We are not, I can't really say we are not there like our other contemporary societies, but we can get there. And the only way we can get there is if we can push ourselves as a community. And that's one of the essence why Poets Factory is actually here to grow a community and a platform for young poets and writers. One thing a poet or a writer can do to generate income for himself is by trading his talent. And one of the what are the ways of trading your talent? You can publish a collection of poems, publish a collection of books when you write up. And thankfully, things that now are books can be published via you get ebooks published very easily. That's something that anybody can sit down with his laptop and do right away. So publications have become easier these days, and they need to do after publication is sell it on social media platforms. There's Amazon Kindle, Okada Books, Bamboo, and all that. So that's one of the ways I know, and I'm sure that Amma agrees with me on that. She does. On how you can actually grow an income through writing. And even when you are also selected to be a speaker, definitely you surely be paid. Who free
Yes.
help? Do you get who free help? Free doesn't help anybody. So the earlier the better. When we notice that our children or even we ourselves like writing, the earlier the better we quickly have a collection. It could be 10 collections, it could be 20 collections, it could be 50 collections, depending on whatever your capability is at the time. I think it would be good to do that. So I would like to ask our guest a question. Okay, have you ever fallen in love? Maybe has anybody ever written a love poem for you before?
Okay, sadly, love is something I do not believe in, but write about it a lot. And
Okay.
definitely, when you have a community, well, when you're a member of a community of poets, definitely with time you definitely get love poems. Even I think even it started from junior secondary school. Yeah, I always get love poems. I'm sorry, but it happens. I get them all the time. Sometimes from my
So,
fans, sometimes from an admirer, it always comes.
so when you get it, what have you done with it? What did you do? What do you do with it when you get it?
Okay, it may sound funny, but I have a place where I compile every love letter I get from my admirers. It's in my room. So I tend to read them. It means a lot when someone cares a lot about you, and
Yeah,
it takes
true.
not really normal for someone to just sit down and write about something, not to even talk about a person. So if a person gets to write about you, a love writer, be it poem or an essay or what have you, it means a lot to the person. So I think that it
True.
must be cherished by the receiver. So yes, I keep all of them. It's like a treasure to me.
Thank you for keeping them. Thank you. Thank you for keeping them. All right. So Joe Box was asking the question. He said at a young age in the school foundation, I'm sure this question might have been answered one way or the other, but I'll just read it. At a young age, in foundation school, what helped you to develop your writing skills? I'm sure that's what you're trying to say. What helped you develop your writing skills?
Okay, as a child, I was a depressed child, so writing was my tool. That's it. It's kind of a more personal story, but trust me, if you've been in challenging times and you just have writing inside of you, somehow that's when you're going to that's when you're going to get to meet with your dreams. So I was depressed as a child. There were lots of things I was going through. I can't really start talking about now. So, and being an introvert, a child who finds it hard to get to connect with other people, my book was my best friend, and voila, I realized I was breathing words and poems.
So do you have any way of falling in the mood for writing?
Okay, truth
How
be
do you
told,
go
I'm
into the mood?
not writing. So sometimes I can sit down and say, "Oh, Amma, you've not written in about a week or 2 weeks. You need to write something." And so personally, I'm almost always writing. So when I realize that I've not written for a long while, I put myself into the mood and just want to write about. I ask myself, what am I thinking of right now? What do I feel right now? So I need to write about what I feel at that particular point. So I ensure that I don't stay out of the writing, should I call it the world right now?
All right. Okay. So someone is asking Eki Frank. She said she has been requesting to be in the video. Okay, if you are a poet and you want to be interviewed on Poets Factory Insta Live program Voices of Poets, please kindly send an email to poetsfactory@gmail.com or info@poetsfactory.com. I'll take that again. Poetsfactory@gmail.com or info@poetsfactory.com, and I'm sure our team will be there to guide you into that. Thank you. If you have any other question, please drop it in the comment section. The topic we're dealing with today is the motivation in writing, and our guest for today is Amah-Mercy Samuel. As a French lecturer, how do you get to inspire your students? What do you lecture?
Okay, lecturing language is not the same as just coming to teach a course or something. So since I'm lecturing language, I tend to start from the scratch. Yeah, how do I explain it to you right now? Because I'm sure you're used to the normal forms of teaching, but language is something that must be approached with a very very different in a very very different way. So I don't really know how to explain that to you right now. But aside French, I feel that it's a blessing to be. Naturally, I'm a motivational speaker by nature, so sometimes even amidst lectures, I get to just delve a little bit out of the class, and sometimes there's always we have various kinds of students. We have those who need to be taught excessively, a couple of amount of times, numerously before it sinks in, and we have those in every class. There's always a timid student, no matter the age. Okay, there's always someone who is timid. So basically in my class, I tend to interact with all of my students. I tend to get to meet with those who I feel are a little bit weaker than the rest, and help them grow their fears into their strength. So lecturing for me is something I enjoy because I love to teach, and then I love being an inspiration to someone who feels he or she is better than their strength. Help that person realize that this thing you call weakness can become your strength if only you work on it. So someone needs someone to work with. So most times, all of my students see me as as a teammate. Aside learning the language French, we get to talk a lot, and we connect deeply. So I feel that my should I say my contract as a lecturer isn't just about coming to teach the students French. I'm grateful to God for placing me in that opportunity to be a blessing to other lives. It's really, really a great one for me.
So poets have other lives aside from writing, such as being a lecturer.
I told you, I'm a volunteer. I'm a full-time volunteer for lots of organizations. Lots of them. So it's not just about.
Can you give us quickly? Can you give us some platforms where you do content writing?
Okay, I am an ambassador for Career Box. Career Box is centered on helping youths discover their career. So I am a content writer for Career Box. I'm a proud feminist, and I work with Igwe Africa. Igwe Africa is an initiative for girl and women empowerment. They unlock the mind by education. Igwe Africa, IGWE Africa. Yes, and also AIA SDG volunteers. We've heard about the SDG roles. So the SDG goals, the Sustainable Development Goals. So we have about 17 SDG goals. So there are lots of NGOs that they tend to recognize the one they want to work with, and most times my thing is strictly feminism. So we're always against gender inequality. We work towards ensuring that hunger level is reduced. I'm also a volunteer for St. Antlanda Bethel Foundation. St. Antlanda Bethel Foundation. What she does is she takes young girls off the street. We have pregnant teenage girls who run out of their house and they have no place to go to. So what we do is we get them off the street. We keep them in a place and we pay them monthly to have their own kids. And it's a way of you being you giving hope to the ones who feel that because they are women, because most of those persons were abused and thrown on the street. So what happens to them? We get them, bring them, we provide shelter for them and pay them to keep their own kids. So it's a very, very fulfilling one for me, volunteering.
I'm sure our network is, I'm sure there's a little bit of hiccup in our network. I'm sure she'll be back soon. But thank you for staying tuned. Thank you. Amma, can you hear me? Hold on, I'm sure Amma will join us soon. I'm trying to have that back. All right, while we're waiting for her, thank you everyone for joining. I'm sure it's been a good and fantastic time today at the Motivation in Writing. Thank you for joining. We've learned a lot today about how writing is important in our in societal development, how we need to start engaging writing even at a tender age for the children. And we've also learned about various platforms where we can write. We've also learned about how we can channel and make money via writing, such as you publishing your book, doing an ebook. First of all, maybe before you now do the real publish the real hard copy, you can do an ebook first before you do the hard copy. So that's a very good one. So if you're a writer and you are here, you've learned how to monetize your talent. You've learned how to monetize your talent. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate you. And I also appreciate our guest who has been here today. Any other question, please? Shout out to Eki Frank. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Eki Frank. Thank you, Eki Frank. So I'm trying to have our guest back. I'm sure we have just 5 minutes, but I'll try to have her back. So we're trying to go live with her again. Somebody said I should put Eki Frank on live. Hold on, I'm sure I want to add Amah-Mercy Samuel again. Her line went off. Yeah, she's back. I'm sure we have 5 minutes or less. Yes, we have maybe 5 minutes or less. So can you hear me, Amah? Hello? So if you are here or you know someone who is a writer or a poet, inform them about Poets Factory. Poets Factory is a platform. We are building a platform for young poets and writers globally where they can learn their voices, hear their voices through poetry, through writing, spoken words, poems, and any other way. Growing poets and writers here in Nigeria. Thank you, Amah. Oh, she couldn't join again. Okay, let me put up. All right, thank you everyone for joining today. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you. I'm sure another time again will be Saturday. We'll be having another guest in our midst and we'll be looking at another topic for discussion. But I appreciate everyone who has been here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll just give 1 minute to Eki Frank. 1 minute to Eki Frank. Give 1 minute to Eki Frank.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Eki.
Yeah, it's so good to be on Poets Factory.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I was actually sending messages to let you know that I'm Amma's friend and I just wanted to encourage her, and I'm so proud of her that she, has pursued her dreams and she has gotten to this. I mean, poetry for me is actually a passion that I couldn't pursue, to be honest, because I wanted to study theater arts because I'm
we have just like 2 minutes left, so we need to.
Okay.
Yes.
So story cut short, I'm studying business admin. I couldn't study theater arts, so everything I had, all the love that I had for poetry and all, just kind of died. So seeing this is really encouraging, I must confess. So shout out to you, the Poets Factory.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah. So if you want to be on our platform, if you want to be interviewed on Poets Factory platform, please send an email to poetsfactory@gmail.com or info@poetsfactory.com. Poets Factory remains the inspiration that captures the art. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. See you next time. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Drop the love button. Press the love button. Say bye. And someone should wave to me now. Nobody's waving. Nobody wants to leave. Bye. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. See you next Saturday. See you on Saturday for another program on Voices of Poets. And we're going to be having another special person in our midst. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you, Vine. Thank you, Ashraf. Thank you, Samuel Favor. Thank you. Thank you for dropping the love button. Thank you, Tolula Day. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. God bless you and see you next time. Bye.